Jackie, please.
Jacqueline Kirby, Media Relations Manager for the El Paso County Sheriff's Office.
So, any new updates for us?
Well, today we have over 130 people searching several different locations in the search for Gannon.
You guys put out a press release here just a little bit ago saying you're searching areas of northern El Paso County and southern Douglas County. What's made you guys start looking up in that area?
That is one of the searches that is happening today, and that is, again, based on tips and leads that we're getting in that told us that's an area that we should direct our attention to.
Are you guys planning to look out of state?
We will go where the tips and the leads take us, and we will follow those until they are exhausted.
Jackie, we spoke with Gannon's stepmother yesterday, which I'm sure you're aware of, and she made a couple statements that I have to ask you about. One, that the sheriff's office is aware of a person that Gannon left with that day that he disappeared. Is there a particular person that you guys are aware of or that you're looking for who he might have left with?
You know, that is a part of our investigation, and if that's part of our investigation.
She's also claiming that, it's been tough for her, being that she's been run off the road, that people are waiting outside of her hotel. Is that something that the sheriff's office is aware of? Are you guys doing anything to protect her?
You know, right now our investigation is surrounding the search for Gannon and bringing him home safely to his family.
The fact that the stepmother has been speaking to different media outlets, has that put any kind of hamper on your guys' investigation?
That would be part of our investigation. Anybody has the right to say anything they want to.
She also called out specifically some of the Facebook groups. I know you guys have talked a lot about making sure misinformation is not spread on social media. Do you guys have the ability to silence any of those pages?
We absolutely do not. It's outside of the realm of law enforcement's scope of authority to be able to do that, because you'd be silencing somebody's First Amendment rights.
The 130 people who are part of these searches, including everyone in the department who is putting their efforts in, have got to be exhausted, right? We're on day 16, 17. Can you speak to the tiring search that this is and the toll it might be taking on the sheriff's office?
Sure. You know, we have been working this investigation since the day Gannon went missing, and although it is exhausting, we owe it to Gannon, we owe it to his family to do everything we can to bring him home. The search today is larger than we've seen in days past, so I don't want to give people the illusion that the 130 volunteers are out in force every day. That's just not the case. We go where the tips and the leads take us, and we bring the necessary resources to follow up on those leads and tips.
I don't know if this is something you know off the top of your head, but is this the furthest north we've searched so far?
I'm not at liberty to disclose that. That would be part of our investigation.
Have you guys reached out to Douglas County Sheriffs? Or are they involved in the search up in that area?
They are assisting, yes, but we remain the lead agency.
I know you guys have said many times that you're not going to comment on that video that's been circulating. When we talked to the stepmom, she did talk with us about that as well, and she says that there is photo evidence that you guys have showing that Gannon was with her that day. Do you have photo evidence showing that?
The video that you're referencing, yes, the sheriff's office does have that video. It is part of our investigation, but I've said many times, it is a piece in a very, very large puzzle.
And separate from that video, we're hearing that there is photo evidence placing Gannon with her after that video.
That would be part of our investigation, and we're not going to elaborate.
Is there any reason to believe that Gannon might have been abducted?
You know, right now we're working with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. We're also working with the FBI's Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team, and so that is not above the realm of possibility, and we are exploring all of those avenues in our investigation.
I was about to say, it's probably one of those instances where you look at every possibility for what could have happened and you are exploring those avenues.
Yes, we have to.
Jackie, you guys said that Gannon left his house to play at a friend's house and the stepmom was the last to see them. Do you still believe that is the case?
I want to clear that up. The sheriff's office is not the one who said that Gannon went to a friend's house to play. That is the report that came into our 911 center by the reporting party. So I want to make sure that that's very clear. And so again, anything during that day and anything after that day is part of our investigation, and we're not going to elaborate.
You know, we're almost 2.5 weeks into this. We are 2.5 weeks into this search for Gannon. How is this investigation going to evolve as time goes forward here?
You know, the investigation will evolve as the investigation needs. Again, we are, I think as of yesterday, we had 425 tips. I haven't gotten the newest number today. I will have that probably about 5 o'clock. Every tip and lead is being followed up on and exhausted unless that tip or lead leads to an additional tip or lead. So it is, again, the priority of the sheriff's office. That priority and that goal and mission has not changed. It has not diminished. That being bringing Gannon home safely to his family.
Jackie, this is an uncomfortable question, and you can address it how you will, but is there a point in time with any investigation that we stop putting as much effort to it that we are right now? Or is this just ramp up until we find answers?
You know what? We are not even close to being at that point yet, so we're not going to talk about that right now. We will go where the tips and the leads take us, and we're just not even going to entertain that because we're not even close to being there.
I know you can't comment on specific evidence, but has there been any indication from inside of the home or evidence that's been collected that shows where Gannon might have left the house from? We've heard that he went out the side door. Is that
would be part of our investigation, and really to talk about anything specific to the investigation is not doing Gannon any service. We've got to protect the integrity of that investigation, so we're not going to comment.
Jackie, I spoke to Sergeant Minot this morning, and she talked a little bit about the community just kind of being frustrated when you guys just put the picture out there and don't have any updates. Can you just explain that for the community's purpose, to just you want to keep spreading his picture so people might see him?
I guess I don't.
So we were just talking about the fact that sometimes the community gets frustrated when the sheriff's office just puts out his picture and says, if you have any information, call us, without any sort of update. What would be the message to the community about doing that?
That when we have an update, we're going to give that to the community. I think we have shown that since daily with the press releases, with the exception of yesterday. Sometimes the tips and the leads require more investigation, and there's not a lot to brief the community on. So to keep his picture out there to let the community know we have not stopped. And again, I want to say what I've said earlier, is that in the absence of updated information does not mean that this case has slowed down, that it has stopped, that we are not doing everything we can to bring Gannon home, because that's just not the case.
I know you sounds like you wish there was an update.
I would love more than anything to have an update for the community, more than that to have an update for Gannon's family. They are living every parent's worst nightmare. And at the end of the day, it is, again, about bringing Gannon home.
I mean, you said it's not outside the realm of possibility that he was abducted. Is there anything that you guys have collected that's led you to believe that?
We are not going to elaborate. That would be part of our investigation.
He's been missing 16 days now. Are parents expressing any fear that the longer that he's missing, the less chance that he's going to be found alive?
I would imagine that any parent would have that fear, but again, our hope and our goal is to bring Gannon home safely to his family.
In the statement that the stepmom had made to another station, she mentioned this other person. And I don't know that you can answer this, does alluding to more people at all hinder what I know you talked about how when false tips comes in, it leads officers in different directions. When information like that is put out, does it hinder your end of things?
Obviously, when things are said, especially by people close to Gannon, those are going to be investigated. So that's all I can say about that. We would follow that tip and that lead and that information down until that's exhausted.
Jackie, we have a responsibility as a part of the media to help in this case, to educate people who are following along with it. What's the best thing we can do for you guys?
You know, the best thing you can do is pray for Gannon's family. I know that sounds simple, but if you think back to Elle's video that he posted, you know, they are feeling them, they are receiving them, they are grateful for them. It is what has helped keeping them going. And so that is the biggest thing that you can do, I think, for Gannon and for his family, and continue to share what we share on our social media platforms, continue to share it with your viewership to make sure that we keep Gannon's photo and the information out there.
Can you talk a little bit specifically about some of the challenges this late into the search as opposed to 2 days after the search began? What has changed how have approaches changed to searching?
Again, our approach has not changed. From the beginning, this has been a parallel investigation with the search efforts and with the investigative efforts, and they are working hand in hand. Again, those tips and the leads and the investigation led us to the different areas that we're searching today. So an investigation is an investigation, and obviously with those two avenues, there are different veins that come off of those two larger roads. But
So as time goes on, search tactics don't change?
You know, honestly, I don't know. That would be a question for search and rescue. I don't feel equipped to answer that.
How many teams are currently searching right now?
Teams?
Yeah.
I don't know teams, but we've got over 130 individuals searching various spots. And included in that, we've got canines, search and rescue, and mounted unit.
Have you guys had any issues with people, private citizens going out trying to search by themselves?
If we have, I have not been made aware of any.
Have you guys been able to narrow down Gannon's day leading up to the time that he was reported missing?
That would be part of our investigation.
Is there any fear right now that there's danger to the public at all?
There's no information that we have so far in the investigation that leads us to believe there's a threat to the community, but obviously as we explore different avenues and what may have happened to Gannon, we ask the community to be vigilant, and if they see anything out of the ordinary for their area, to give us a call.
One last thing for you. I was going to say, with every time that we hear that's a part of the investigation, if people are watching this way, well, what are we learning in this investigation? It's intentional. We're not telling people that part of this because it's a strategy for law enforcement, right?
You know, each investigation is different unto its own. And when you release information, it's because that specific investigation allows for the release of that information. Right now, what we have and what we know, we are not going to share with the public to protect the integrity of the investigation, again, with the ultimate goal of bringing Gannon home safely to his family. That, again, I know you get tired of hearing it, but we owe that to Gannon, we owe that to Gannon's family.
Is the belief still that he's alive?
Yes, the belief is that he is still alive, and our goal is to bring him home safely to his family. I can't articulate that enough.
I hate to ask, but you do seem kind of upset or emotional a little bit. Is there stuff that's just bothering you about this case?
I seem emotional?
A little, maybe. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm sorry if I'm wrong.
No, I don't feel emotional.
Okay, no, it just seems like, I thought it was kind of getting to you, I guess.
To dig him out of the hole, it looked like you had been crying recently.
I had something happen in my personal life.
I apologize. I'm so sorry.
We don't need to go
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
It made me a little teary. Please don't take that as any indication of anything in the case, because it's
So
not.
sorry,
Okay, I'm sorry. I just thought, I didn't know if there was a certain detail about this story that was maybe just getting to you, so
You know,
I apologize.
Again, as a mom, I do go home every day and I do say a prayer for the Gannon family, because as a mom, I could not imagine being in their shoes. I could not imagine not knowing where my children are and not knowing if they're safe or hurting or something like that. So yes, it has taken a toll, not just on me, but everybody that's working this case, because most of us are parents. So I don't know how you can be covering this story and be as invested as the media is, or be invested as this law enforcement agency is, and not have it affect you emotionally. I called my son Bubba since the day he was born. You know, that's Gannon's nickname. That strikes a chord as, in my mom's self. So.
Jackie, was there any potential that we would have a reward for tips on this? I know we're just collecting tips right now, but
Right now we are just collecting tips. I have not been made aware, had any award information confirmed. So.
I know, I apologize, I know we've asked this question many times, but is there a possibility as time goes on that this could turn into a criminal investigation?
We'll have to wait and see where the investigation takes us. It would be premature to say that right now because we're not there, but we'll see where the investigation goes.
Could you speak directly to the people spreading that misinformation on Twitter, on YouTube? I saw a tweet of someone posting Gannon's bloody gloves found on the side of the road. Could you speak directly to those people?
Professionally, that's a little challenging to speak to, because we are not taking tips over social media. We are just taking them through the tip line and through our tip email address. But I would ask anybody that's spreading false information like that to put themselves in the position of the family. And if that were your son or your nephew or your grandchild, is that something that you would want? There is a level of heartache that this family is experiencing, and things like that I think just exacerbate that. I have not spoken with the family. That's just my thoughts on it. Put yourself in their shoes, and what would you want? How would you act? And we would encourage people to act that way. But again, knowing we can't control what people say and what people do, they all have to follow their own convictions and their own morals.
We spoke with Gannon's dad the other day and asked him where the stepmom was, and he said, I don't know where she is. I haven't seen her. Do you know if there's been a rift in that relationship as this investigation continues?
That would be completely inappropriate for me to comment on. I have no idea.
What is the communication between the sheriff's office and the family? How often is that communication happening?
That communication is happening every day.
We all good, guys?
Jackie, anything else you want to add?
No, keep the Gannon family and Gannon's family in your thoughts and prayers. Continue to share the information that we are sharing, because again, the only credible information is going to come from the investigating agency, and that is the El Paso County Sheriff's Office.
I'm sorry. I know you guys aren't taking tips on social media, but when you do see things shared on social media, is that something that investigators are vetting just to make sure that it is not factual?
There is no way for us to vet all of the information that is out there about this case. We could bring all of the resources nationally to the table, and we still would not have enough resources. Again, we're encouraging anybody with any information they feel is important to this case, give the Sheriff's Office tip line a call, email the tip line. There's really no excuse for people not to, as much as we've said it.
Jackie, I'm sorry, I just had a question texted to me. It says, and I know personally, but why hasn't there been an Amber Alert issued in this case?
Again, remember when Gannon when the call first came into 911 on Monday, January 27th, it was called in as a runaway. And then when it was elevated to the missing and endangered case, it still did not rise to the level of what they require for an Amber Alert. So, and we don't have any control over that. There's certain requirements that it didn't meet.
Now I think
Let's shut it down. Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you.